Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering the laws of biology were broken overnight. Because somewhere beneath the ocean, something impossible just opened its eyes. A creature bigger than skyscrapers, older than civilization, and hungry for radiation. But here's the strange part. Godzilla might actually be the least terrifying part of the story. For decades, people treated Godzilla like fiction, a giant monster smashing cities for entertainment. But hidden inside the legend is a terrifying scientific question nobody wants answered. What if something that massive could really exist? And that's where things get weird. At over 110 meters tall, Godzilla wouldn't just dominate cities. It would completely shatter the limits of physics itself. Scientists estimate the largest land creature Earth could realistically support weighs around 1,100 tons. Godzilla? Even at his lightest estimate, he's over 14,000 tons. Some versions push past 160,000. That means every step would be a catastrophe. Roads would collapse instantly. Buildings would crack before he even touched them. Entire coastlines could shift under his weight alone. And the scariest part? He wouldn't even need to attack. Just moving would trigger destruction. But that's not even the craziest part. His own body shouldn't function. According to something called the square cube law, as creatures grow larger, their volume increases faster than their strength. Bones snap. Hearts fail. Heat can't escape. Signals from the brain lag behind movement. In other words, Godzilla shouldn't even be able to stand. Yet somehow he does. Which raises a darker possibility. What if this thing evolved beyond the rules that control every other life form on Earth? What if Godzilla isn't just an animal, but something entirely different? And that's when things changed. Because the moment scientists study Godzilla closer, they realize something horrifying. The monster doesn't survive despite radiation. It survives because of it. Think about that for a second. While nuclear energy melts reactors and poisons entire regions, Godzilla feeds on it like sunlight. Every missile, every reactor, every nuclear weapon humanity built for protection suddenly becomes food. And this is where it gets weird. A creature that size would need around 15 million calories every single day. That's enough energy to feed thousands of humans. At first, people assume he'd wipe out oceans hunting whales. But no, radiation is the real meal. That glowing blue atomic breath. It's not magic. It's stored energy being fired back out as a concentrated plasma blast. One pulse could erase entire city blocks instantly. Another could poison everything nearby for miles. Suddenly, modern warfare becomes useless. Because every attack only makes him stronger. And then comes the twist nobody saw coming. If humanity tried to destroy Godzilla with nuclear weapons, we might accidentally trigger the largest explosion in human history. Bigger than the Tsar Bomba. Bigger than every nuclear disaster combined. So now the world faces an impossible choice. Fight the monster and risk global extinction. Or let it live. But that's not even the worst part. Governments would collapse overnight. Coastal cities would evacuate. Entire economies would freeze in panic. Air travel? Gone. Shipping routes? Destroyed. Millions displaced within days. And somewhere in the chaos, a terrifying realization begins spreading. Godzilla may not even know humans exist. To him, we're ants. Which means all the destruction, the tsunamis, the collapsing cities, might just be accidental side effects of something far beyond our control. But then scientists uncover something even stranger. Godzilla isn't only a threat. He might also be the greatest energy source Earth has ever seen. And suddenly, the entire narrative flips. Because inside Godzilla's body is enough raw power to supply entire cities with energy. Some researchers estimate his radioactive output could power over 1,000 households every day. So now humanity faces a dangerous temptation. What if we could control him? But here's the strange part. Every attempt to contain Godzilla would create bigger risks. Imagine building chains strong enough to hold a living mountain. Imagine transporting a creature that can vaporize steel with its breath. One mistake wouldn't cause an accident. It would erase nations. And that's when the fear turns into obsession. Some people would worship him. Others would want him destroyed. Militaries would race to weaponize him. Corporations would try harvesting his energy. Scientists would study him like the greatest discovery in history. But none of them would truly understand him. Because what happens next changes everything. The world slowly realizes Godzilla could accidentally unite humanity. Countries at war would suddenly share one goal: Survival. Resources would combine. Technology would advance faster than ever. Old enemies would cooperate against a threat too massive to ignore. Ironically, the monster destroying civilization might also save it. But that's not even the craziest part. If a creature like Godzilla exists, then evolution created him for a reason. Nature doesn't build living nuclear weapons by accident. So the real question isn't whether humanity could survive Godzilla. The real question is, what was powerful enough to make Earth need him in the first place? And if Godzilla was only the beginning, what else could still be sleeping beneath the ocean?